Hi guys, Shelly here with Sew Shelly Quilts. I've been promising for a while that I would show you how to actually use the number 71 foot flat felled seam foot to make an actual flat felled seam. So I know a lot of you have seen my video on how to do the binding on a quilt, but now that you own the foot, you ought to be able to do these other tricks also. So my foot just has tape on it because I travel with them. This is a Bernina number 71. And so I'm going to put it on the needle. Bernina feet go on so easily that I always thread the foot whenever possible so that that thread is already to the back. And I'm ready to go. So here is my fabric set up. So here's my two pieces, and they are wrong sides together. I shouldn't have just used white, I guess, but that's the wrong side, that's the wrong side. So they are right sides out, which is different than we normally sew. And so what we're going to do, let me grab my trusty tweezers here. What we will do is put this foot down. I use my knee lift to lower the foot, and I'm just folding that fabric. See this? So this is a 1/2 inch out. You don't have to mark it, but I did. So I marked a 1/2 inch, and the lower piece is a 1/2 inch longer than the upper. So if our seam allowance was 5/8, we would have just trimmed that off of the upper. So now I'm just going to fold it and push it under the foot, and off we go. I'm going to move my needle all the way over. Whoops, let me see. Do I have the right do I have a straight stitch plate on? No, I don't. But I told the machine I did. So that's not cool. Let me change my foot. With these machines, they have presser foot recognition, and we're happy about that. But it means that sometimes I have to stop and make sure I have the right foot selected. And so here we go. I'm going to just stitch. And this foot just automatically folds. So I'm making sure that that edge and the foot is just folding it up. So it's right sides together. And we're just sewing the first stitch. Now this first stitch will show not on the top, but with the bobbin. So when you're doing this, sometimes it's nice to do it with a 12 weight or a heavy thread so that it looks like a nice denim. A 12 weight is sometimes called jean stitch. So there we go. I'm going to pull my threads. And so there's the first stitch. Now you open it out, and it's still right sides up. And I'm going to run over to the iron really quick, and I'm just going to press it over. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I pressed it over. So it was like this, stitched, and then went to the iron and opened it flat and pressed it over. And so now all we have to do is come along and put the flap in the foot. Okay, here we go. And now see how that just tucked under there? Okay, so that's going to make the next stitch. Get that. Just easy, it's just doing it. original tail, and look what we've got. A really nice flat felled seam. Quick, and that means that it's finished on both sides. This would be the inside, you see one line of stitching. This is the outside, you see two. So now let me show you a different cool trick. So I've got some more fabric here, and I've got them wrong sides together. These are just scraps, so it really doesn't matter what's right, what's wrong. But here's another neat trick. So let me put them a 1/2 inch overlap, or approximately. I'm not going to draw it this time. I'm just going to put it in, and I'm going to load the fabric into the foot. See how I just kind of roll it so that it is going to feed, and I always use my trusty tweezers, and that way I can get it right where I want it. Now this time I'm going to choose a triple stitch, and you'll see then that on that back side it gets a much heavier look, and it's a prettier heavy stitch, more decorative. So if you wanted a triple stitch look, that's all you got to do. So I'm going to stitch this and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me pull back here so we can see. It was like this. We sewed the triple stitch, and I finished stitching it, and then I pressed it. I steamed it, and it's wet. I got a lot of steam. So now I'm going to load it in, just like we did before, but I'm also going to, this time, put some trim in there. So watch this. This is a good trick. So I'm going to lay some trim underneath the seam, and under the foot. So here we go. Let's get that in the foot. There we go. Get my threads. Make sure I'm starting stitching in fabric. That is always important. And that's on triple stitch, you know, just for speed of video purposes. I went back to a straight stitch, although I probably would have done a triple stitch if this were a real project, not just a scrap. And I'm using isocord thread and a contrasting color, so you're going to get different effects. But look how I'm just tucking the trim under, so the foot is on top of the trim, but under the flap. So watch how easy this is, and what a neat way to add a little accent to the top of a pocket or on a bag. Maybe, I know this is just a sample, but I'll probably get another piece and put a little zipper in it and have a new makeup or USB bag. So that's a great way also to use the 71 foot. Well, okay, there we go. And looky there. Isn't that neat looking? And that trim is just as secure as it could be. So let me pull back so you can see it also. And that's a couple of more uses for the 71 foot. This is Shelley with Sew Shelley Quilts. Bye.